So, otherwise for the week, I don't know if I have too much else.
I mean, I've
Been
got some stuff.
yeah,
My week got a lot worse today when I found out that Kentaro Miura passed away,
Yeah,
who's the creator of Berserk.
yeah. It's that's tough. We have unfortunately, I guess we've recorded all of our reactions to Berserk before this news hit. So hell, maybe we even throw some like this conversation at the end of that just to acknowledge the man's work
sure.
and his passing. But it's especially it's hitting me especially hard because we've finished Berserk. We're currently running a poll for what's going to be replacing Berserk. But as soon as we got done, I was like, Rick, I need the manga, you know. So I've read all of Volume 1 like in 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, the collected volume.
The collected volume. So it's like thick,
Yeah.
this thick, you know. I read all of that, and then I was like gushing to Rick about certain things, and I'm like, they didn't put this character in, Rick, you know. And the art is just gorgeous and like just I don't know. I love the anime that we watched, but I don't know. Seeing the lines on the paper, every scene, every like, you know, you can tell this guy put too much detail into some stuff. Like, you know, I know he had a reputation for sometimes it takes a while to get stuff done, you know, but just reading the first volume or the omnibus, I'm like, well, yeah, when you want it to look this good, it's going to take a while.
And he was involved in the 97 anime. It's the only animation that he's been involved in.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there's nothing can hold a candle to the manga.
Yeah.
And
the manga is fantastic, and like with what I've seen so far, like because you said it a couple of times, but I don't know if I had believed you because that show could get incredibly dark. But wow, the show really held back in this moment.
Yeah.
Compared to the manga. So I'm very, very excited to keep reading, but it is going to be a sad day when we catch up to because he did not finish the story.
Yeah, the story's not finished, right?
Yeah.
no.
How long you said he's been working on it? Since like
So
the
it first
80s?
got serialized in '89.
89.
Is when it first went into publication. He's been working on it ever since. And he was young. when
How old was he?
started it. He died at
19.
54.
He died at 54.
Yeah, so he died quite young of a acute aortic dissection, I think it's called.
Okay.
Not really sure what that is, but yeah, I heard the news this morning, and like I've been busy all day, so I'm not looking forward to my first like quiet moment.
Yeah, I get you.
Because right now it's just I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about. Like Berserk, it's been so influential. Obviously, like anything that's been dark fantasy, especially that's come out of Japan since '89, has been influenced by Berserk in some way or another. Most obviously, any character you see with a giant sword, you know, that is coming from Berserk. But a lot of the themes and the character and the tone and stuff.
Yeah.
From everything from like, you know, Castlevania to Dark Souls to Demon Slayer.
I've been especially surprised about just how many creatives have come out talking about what Berserk did to them. Like even I saw this one post: servers in the Final Fantasy Online have all like they've come out with their giant swords to honor him. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So, it's always one of those things where, like, selfishly, at least for me, I'm gonna be like, well, I need to know what he thought, how he was going to end this, you know.
Sure.
But also, like, just some incredible work that inspired so many other people. I had said this when we were watching the first time, like, because Rick, you had said that you watched the anime, and then you immediately watched it again, and like in a day or two, right?
I watched it 4 times in 3 days.
Gotcha.
4 times in 3 days.
See, like watching it once a week, for 27 weeks that we did, I always felt like I like this. This is intriguing, but I want like what happens next. And sometimes when you do that, you don't appreciate foreshadowing as much, or you know exactly what's being said about a character because there's a mystery to this character.
Sure.
Once you know more about the character, there's a lot more meat on the bones. You know.
Sure.
So
when you
for
go
me,
back, you notice like, oh, this is what they were hinting at that I
Yeah.
didn't catch before. And
So it's especially interesting for me because I'm not going through the anime again, but I'm going through the manga. But I'm coming with all this baggage of like this character, I feel this way, you know. And the manga, like, it's like it mocks me because it's there and it's more.
Yeah.
You know, you should have felt more. So now I feel even crazier the second time going through it.
Hmm.
So it's a really interesting experience. But
Rick, having followed it for a while now, like, what do you like? Do you hope that anyone tries to finish the story of Berserk, or do you hope they just kind of leave it alone now? Or
No, I mean, the thing about Berserk is, like, it was all him.
sure,
So he wrote it, he drew it. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I would maybe want his notes or sketches, like, translated and to see those. But I
Yeah.
don't think I would want anyone else to take up the mantle. Like, it's kind of fitting in some ways that the story of Berserk never ends.
yeah,
And, like, there's just this continuous struggle.
sure.
But I am curious to know what he had in his ideas, but I just can't imagine anyone
sure.
else doing
Or like,
it.
how close was he to what he
Yeah.
was anticipating to be the end, or did he have an end in mind, or
Yeah, like,
because sometimes they have ends in minds, and it's like, well, that's where we're gonna go, but let's tell some more stories in between. Or
I think I read an article, I think it was written like 2 years ago, and he said, like, he thought he was going to finish it in 6 years.
Gotcha.
and that was how long ago?
I think it was 2 years ago,
2 years ago.
but I'm not entirely sure.
It's unfortunate that not every genius comes with like for example, J.R.R. Tolkien had Christopher Tolkien
Yeah.
to like not only finish what he started, but do it with like, you know, this is literally his father's legacy. So
Sure.
he treated it very, very, very seriously.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like Tolkien speaking to us from the grave. You know,
Yeah.
like
Well-
it would be a dream if someone could do that for this man's work.
This is kind of like what I've heard people worried about it for, like Song of Ice and Fire, right? Is like I forget how old George R. R. Martin is, and they're like, you know, it's been a while between the books and stuff like that
Mhm.
too. Is like, well, how many more books is he gonna do? Is he gonna get it done before like how long is it gonna take
Yeah.
him and stuff? I know some people they've talked about it for that show, but you know, especially at like 54, you said like 54 relatively
54,
now is
yeah.
young, you
and,
know,
and
like,
sudden, from what I understand.
like it wasn't like it was creeping up or anything.
No.
I saw someone say like
And
they
he
think John Ritter passed from the same thing, and I
Mhm.
know that one was a very unexpected one too, right?
He
'Cause-
did pass away on May 6th. It's just being public
Yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a little while, but we're just finding out about it these last couple days.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, and it's crazy because like I don't know about manga, but I don't figure there's too often where it's like the same person, like comic wise, is doing the story and the art and the writing. You know, like they're doing
it's
all of it.
It's pretty.
of
That's
times-
generally how they do it in Japan. In America, it's usually the writer.
A lot of times you have two
and then you
people,
have an
right?
artist, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you know, Turtles.
Then you'll have an inker, you know,
Yeah.
and a colorist.
Like they have here's the person who's doing the artwork of it. Here's the
Yeah.
person who's doing like the dialogue and the story and stuff, and they kind of work
depending
together.
on how
so.
successful and big you are, like, you know, Dragon Ball Super, Akira Toriyama's not drawing anymore, you know.
Sure.
But he'll do like character design and stuff, but he's not doing every panel.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been debating if I wanted to read through the manga just because like the way it ended. I just at the very least I feel like from the anime I just want to kind of see like what happened there and
Yeah.
maybe kind of like is there some kind of wrapping of like an arc that I can have where I have like more conclusion than what I felt like I got from Berserk because
Yeah.
that anime didn't go as far as I was
I get
hoping
what you
for,
mean.
know?
And I think Rick said something like this. And, you know, we don't want to spoil anything about our actual reaction or
Sure.
anything like that. But having read the manga, or like to the point where I'm at right now, it's almost as if like the anime stopped at the worst and best spot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, like, Berserk for me is special because it, like, I found it at sort of a dark time in my life.
yeah.
And I was struggling with anxiety and depression, which is still going on.
Mhm.
But it was able to, like, inspire me.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird thing to say because, you know, it's not real.
Sure.
But, like, I could see this guy struggling through these terrible things, far worse than anything I was going through. I was like, well, if he can keep going, I can keep going.
I mean, that is the power of story. We've been doing that for 100,000 years around campfires, you know? Or not 100,000 years. A long time.
yeah.
But I mean, it's mythology. It's, you know, it's what the gods do. It's what, you know, it's story is so important. I mean, think about like anything in your life kind of comes like advertising, like it's servicing a story or telling a story to sell a product, you know, or to inspire people, or both, or whatever. But I mean, it's my favorite thing about what we do at Blind Wave is it's getting to experience lots of stories from all around the world, you know,
Sure. Yeah.
in English voices.
Yes.
So yeah, that's tough, but he got a lot of. I saw nothing but love for the guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because as dark and crazy as the story that I know of,
Mm-hmm.
like there's still like a lot of love for the stories and everything he did, even though like that stuff is so dark and whatnot. I'm glad he got a lot of love for all the stories he told, because some of those things they could do some crazy stuff. They go into some crazy themes. They got worse than whatever I saw in the anime and the manga and stuff. So like, you know, I could see in some other like versions of that where people would be like, "What the hell is this?" You know, and like upset by it. But instead, I like that he was, you know, embraced by it too, and being like, "This is the story I want to tell, and how terrible things can be, but this guy can keep persevering."
Yeah, because
somehow getting out of crazy things.
You know, it's definitely a niche. Like it's so dark that it's not gonna sell like a One Piece or a Naruto.
Yeah, My Hero or something like that, where it's much a little lighter, and it's easy to see the overcoming there and not focus on some of the dark craziness that happens, you know?
Yeah, and like, you know, there are story decisions outside the anime that I won't spoil for you guys, but like, you know, he's not afraid to play with like your emotions for a character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, like it's I think I've seen that's been talked about the least was just such an incredible artist.
Yeah.
You know? Like sometimes when I'm looking at comics or even manga, you can tell like this guy's not on model. You know, like this one was more style, but he has both style and all the characters are consistent.
Yeah.
Even, you know, giant tentacle monsters, they're consistent from page to page, and that's always been something that not necessarily bothered me because you know it can be subjective, but like every time I turn a page, I was always shocked by how well the model kept.
Well, the detail is crazy, and like, his character design, especially with the demons and things, like, I haven't felt that way since I've seen like H.R. Giger's work.
Yeah,
you know, it's just he had such a, I don't want to say twisted mind, but he could imagine these twisted creatures.
And then a new avenue that was opened up to me by reading the manga is he also just, you know, the character of Puck is adorable.
Yeah.
And he gets to draw adorable. And it's like, man, I don't remember this adorableness being in the show.
That's crazy. It's where you say Puck, and I think of
it's exactly what I thought.
The other show.
Yep. Praise be Puck. Yeah. Well, it's hard to move on from that just because it was so recent. And it's really interesting, too, like, at least for me, because I just started reading the manga, and I you know, Rick has talked about how we got to watch this Berserk. Like, before we ever watch Berserk, we're watching this one, not this one. And I've always thought, like, I wonder why he doesn't like the one. Like, you know, I don't really understand. Well, I don't know, yesterday or 2 days ago, I was just curious because I had gotten into Berserk mindset. I was just curious. I'm going to look up 2016 Berserk scene. Like, and I kind of looked through some thumbnails, you know, like a still shot, and tried to recognize something so I'm not, like, spoiling myself on something, or, like, let's say, you know. I started watching it, and I immediately knew what Rick meant. Like, Berserk for me, I mean, other than, let's say, Watchmen or, like, Berserk, just reading this first volume has been like, man, the illustration and the composition and what he chooses to show and not show is very good.
Yeah, and
you know,
and it's so ranged too because it's got some of the best action I've ever seen.
Yeah,
but almost all my favorite panels are quiet moments too.
Yeah, but the illustration, 2D illustration, is like its biggest strength. Mm-hmm. And I watched 30 seconds of that show, and I was like, I understand why this is not Berserk because it's 3D modeled.
It only gets worse.
Bad animation, no composition. in the 30 seconds I watched,
Clang,
and I'm like, that's
clang,
like
clang.
that's ridiculous. So I immediately understood what he meant. But so I finished the show very recently. I've read the first volume super recently. I watched that 30 seconds recently. There was this hoax that came out. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter about Netflix creating a short film, Berserk.
No.
That like blew up, and Berserk was trending.
Really?
Because of it.
When was that?
But then it was like, no, this is fake. Someone just made this up.
Huh.
And the author dies, like all in like 5 days for me.
Yeah.
You know, like
Sure.
it was a very strange like time for Berserk.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, there was some type of like a poster that somebody made, and the guy admittedly, I think in the poster or in the post that he did, it was like, this is fake. I'm just playing. But then you know what the internet does is they crop and they
remember
move.
the April Fool's Legend of Zelda like trailer that someone made, and then
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh my god, no, this is really coming!"
Yeah.
Like I remember people telling me about like it was April Fool's joke.
Sure, yeah.
But it was they spent it was so good though for an April Fool's joke that people
Yeah.
were believing that it was real.
But it's just, it's insane that it all happened then. And as you said, like we only just now learned about his passing. So if he when did you say he passed away? On the 6th?
The 6th.
So I mean that poster and hoax and us finishing, he had already passed
Yeah.
by that point. You know? That's crazy. Universe works in weird ways sometimes.
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah.